breaking news, breaking news. Diddy loses his first lawsuit in court. Pay attention. Diddy loses his first lawsuit in court. This is $100 million default judgment in the SA lawsuit. Diddy was slammed. Pay attention. I'm going to show you the court reading on it. We're going to get this rolling. If you subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you not subscribed, subscribe and hit the notification bell and hit the like while the intro is playing. You got time to do all that. Let's get this party popping. All right. All right, unique Mecca audio, man. This right here, we're going to show you the judgment so you understand what's going on. Diddy had this SA lawsuit filed against him by a man that's incarcerated, said that he was forced to do certain things with him. And now I'm going to play you the judgment so you can see how this thing play out. All right, let's get this thing popping. But let me try the other screen. We're going to go up here so you can see the whole thing nice and clear. All right.
Obviously, you'll be able to file that before a pretrial date anyway, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor. Okay, so the order was granted?
The order, your ex parte motion was granted, or your motion for a temporary restraining order was granted. I've signed it. And so we'll get that processed and back to you, and then you'll have to obviously serve that on the parties.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Can your order
All
say any, Your Honor, can you add on your order any Michigan representatives of him acting on his behalf for Michigan properties as well as part of that order? Or does your order cover everything?
All right, just so you understand what's going on. This man is incarcerated in Michigan State. He filed an SA lawsuit against Diddy about 2 months ago. The judge gave Diddy until September to respond. Diddy didn't respond, and this is how it played out. So you can see, this is what I mean by letting the process play through.
You provided the order, so I'm going off.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, so I'm going off the order you provided to me, and I've signed that order already.
That's what I needed. Thank you. All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Cardello-Smith, and we'll make sure the writ's done, and we'll see you back in September. Thank you.
Then, in another stunning turn of events, on September 9th, the same judge awarded Cardello-Smith a $100 million default judgment against Combs. The judgment was awarded to Cardello-Smith because Combs failed to formally respond to the summons or failed to appear in court. The judge.
You see that? Diddy did not respond, didn't appear in court. So therefore, the judge granted it in dude's favor.
Reportedly set a payment schedule of $10 million per month beginning on October 1st.
So did he have to give this man incarcerated $10 million? He got 10 months to give a man incarcerated $100 million. Pay attention.
I want to bring on now a great guest to discuss this case, and that's attorney Safa Robinson. Safa, thank you so much for joining me today. This judgment is very surprising, to say the least. $100 million, the judge ordering the payments to begin on October 1st, $10 million a month. What's your reaction to this judgment, and are you surprised it was even granted?
To a man in prison. Listen to her breakdown.
The judgment is pretty surprising. I will say that this was as a result of what we call a default judgment, essentially saying that Diddy and his team did not respond to the allegations, and judgment was granted to the plaintiff in this particular case. I do find it interesting that they had not responded, and I don't know if it's a strategical decision because there is a criminal component to it, or if there was just some sort of lapse in response time or whatever that may have been. So that is a little surprising on that end. With respect to the actual amount, $100 million, while that is a large amount of money, I think considering the nature of the allegations that have been put forward against Mr. Combs, and the egregious nature of these allegations, I think that while the amount is large and it is surprising to some extent, it's not all that surprising considering that, there's a punitive damage aspect to this.
And through an attorney, Diddy denied even meeting Cardello Smith. But according to Cardello Smith, the two met in the Michigan prison. He says he even has visitor records to prove it. Do you think it's possible Diddy and his legal team just didn't take this seriously, given he's an inmate and given that he's also representing himself in the matter?
So did you hear that? Diddy showed up at the prison to talk to this man. The man have prison records. As important as Diddy is, he stopped to take time to go to a prison to go see a man that's suing him for SA and didn't take the lawsuit serious enough, or maybe he didn't respond like they said because it was a criminal component attached to it. Meaning, right, let's ride. Let's ride. I'm gonna tell you, all right. Let's ride. Let me take you back to one of my joints real quick, and we're gonna do it from here. Now, I had the same situation when I went to trial for the CCE, the cousin to the RICO. After the trial, they had what they call a forfeiture trial. The forfeiture trial is where they try and get you for, anything that you own, you had to forfeit it because they said that it was drug proceeds that brought it. So I had like 30 cars they wanted to get. They located like 10, 15. Everything's in the documents for you rat bastards that want to look for things to criticize. So they went to take like maybe 15 cars for me, and then they had a forfeiture hearing. The cars wasn't in my name. So I could have fought it by just saying it wasn't mine and having the people whose names it was in come into court, show their records that they made X amount of dollars a year to buy that one car that I strategically, allegedly put in their names. But if I would have fought that, being that I felt the trial was weak, like how Young Thug's lawyer, Brian Steele, feel that his trial is weak, so there's certain things that you don't have to, defend or even go up against in court because it could open what they call a Pandora's box. A Pandora's box is when you open a box and you don't know what is going to come out. You're going to be surprised. So what I did during my situation is I did not challenge the forfeiture of the 15 luxury vehicles. I just told them you could have it because it wasn't nothing brought out in trial that I felt would have kept me in prison for the rest of my life. I just knew it was going to take a minute to get it over on appeal. So being that it wasn't nothing there, I turned around and I waived the forfeiture hearing and I let them have the cars, because if I would have had the forfeiture hearing and the people would have came in to claim the cars, they would have went all through their records and they would have did anything they can to harass those people. So I just said, I'm going to take the loss on the car. Whoever want to fight for the car, you're welcome to fight for the car. If you win the car, you keep the car if the judge gives you the car. But I don't want the car, and I don't want to go in court to try and defend the car. If you go on your own and say it's your car, you have the documentation, and they had the documentation. And they took my strategic advice and they just let it ride and let the government get the 15 cars. But that's because I didn't want to open up a Pandora's box to them seeing that I sent them money on this date, I gave them cash on this date, I took them on a luxury cruise on this date. So I just said, man, y'all keep that and waive that. And none of that came back to bite me, because if I would have tried to fight the forfeiture, all types of evidence would have came out that didn't come out in the trial. And then now I would have to appeal my criminal case with this forfeiture evidence that came out during the forfeiture trial. Do y'all understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? You see how I break the law down real easy? So if y'all are trying to get a good consultant, there is a fee. My number is going to be on the screen. It's 917-680-9091. Don't call me if you ain't trying to plan on putting no money in my account, because when you call the lawyers, you put money in their account and it's called a retainer fee. So to call me to ask me for legal advice to help with your situation, know that there will be a retainer fee. Let's finish this video right now, but let's go back up here, right? and let this young lady finish what she was saying.
That is certainly a possibility, but I think, for attorneys, most of us, we will act in the abundance of caution. The lawsuit was filed, and so it would have been appropriate to respond, or it should not have been a surprise, and it should have been taken seriously. And I'm sure that they do take it serious to the extent that they can. I know that there are a lot of lawsuits that are popping up across the country with respect to Mr. Combs, and it's a little hard to differentiate what may actually be truthful and factual versus what could be, just a ploy to gain for some sort of financial gain, which I know in this case there is a question. The plaintiff in this case has been extremely litigious previously, and this is not the first time that they've sued while incarcerated. So there could be some question with regard to that, but there appeared to be records that are jail records that would have reflected Mr. Combs' visit to the facility if, in fact, that did occur.
And from my understanding, he's serving a life sentence in prison. So it's given that, is it one possible that he still could see that money? And two, is it possible the judgment could just get dismissed altogether?
In terms of whether or not he'll actually see that money, there's going to be a question there. Like I said, that there are mechanisms that can be set in place so that he can receive that financial compensation. Just because an individual is incarcerated doesn't mean that they're banned from filing lawsuits or receiving judgments or financial payouts and things of that nature. How that will take place, I can't really say for certain.
But to give you an example on how that could take place, right? See, this is how we ride. You see how y'all get jewels over here at Mecca Audio? Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. You already subscribed, hit the notification bell. Now, when I had my lawsuit when I was locked up, I had a joint against Empire, right? Remember Pitbull used AOI in a song, I forgot the name of the song. But yeah, that's crazy. I forgot the name of the song, and I'm on the copyrights of the song, and I forget the name of the song. What the heck was the name of the song? But it was a song that Pitbull did, and he yelled AOI in Empire Season 2, Episode 2, if you want to go back and look at it. And when he did that, I won the lawsuit, but when I got the funds, you know what I mean? Because it was a large sum. When I got the sum, they put it in, my lawyer opened up a trust fund, right? Because you didn't want to put that much money on your account in the prison. Because they'll find a way to try and take it. You know what I mean? Start charging you. And do you know, right? Let's ride a little bit. Do you know that they charge inmates to do time? Like my man Delroy Uzi. Delroy Uzi have to pay $1,700 a month during his incarceration per the order of his conviction and judgment of commitment, when the judge said that he was found guilty of the CCE and they felt he had money, so they said he had to pay for his prison stay. You understand? So now if he get this $10 million, they'll figure out a way, say he got to pay for his prison stay $5,000 a day. You know what I mean? So they can eat the money up. So that's why you get the money put in a trust fund. Do you understand that? All right. So let's keep this thing moving.
I think you indicated that he is doing a life sentence. So, what that would mean if he has any other judgments that are against him or creditors that may want to take his financial gain based off of this will also be a question.
And according to reports, Diddy listed his Beverly Hills mansion, that same one at the center of this suit, and the same one that was raided by Homeland Security back in March. And then the home was apparently listed this week. He's been trying to list that home since the summer, and he's listed the home for a reported $70 million, which is millions above how much he paid for the home when he had purchased it initially. Do you think that money will be used to go toward the judgment, or do you think it'll go toward lawyers? What are your thoughts on just the fact that Diddy is selling the home kind of at the center of this restraining order as well, too?
Well, that's the interesting.
See, that's crazy, right? Do you think that dude in prison would take the $70 million home? We know he's doing a life sentence, but you think if Diddy said, yo, look, man, just take this house. It's worth, $70 million. Take that and call it even. Would you take the house worth $70 million to call it even and he don't appeal nothing? Or would you stick with the $100 million You know what I mean? $10 million a month that his lawyer's gonna have to file something. I don't know how that's gonna work because he didn't even show up. So it's a default judgment. So you can't come down and say you want to appeal it. You got to show why you failed to send an electronic motion as far as responding to this situation before you could even open up that door. Let me give you another one. I'm in a riding mood today. Let me give you another one. It was my man, right? It was my man Dickie Lynn, official white dude. I meet him at ADX. Dickie Lynn get locked up. I'm gonna talk real fast on this one, get to my whole terminology so that we can speed this up and we can get our day going. Now, Dickie Lynn was locked up. I met Dickie Lynn in ADX Supermax. We locked in 23 hours a day. When Dickie Lynn got locked up, he got locked up, I think, in like Louisiana down in the South. And he was allegedly flying airplanes to pick up cocaine, for the cartel. He gets busted, him and his whole crew, they all get locked up. They on appeal. Dickie comes up with an elaborate scam. If you want to know the whole scam, how he did it, well, Dickie wound up escaping from prison. When he escaped from prison, while he was on the run, his appeal came up. They heard his appeal and they overturned all his co-defendants' appeal. But they didn't look at his appeal because he left custody. And once he left custody, that meant that he was no longer, in the system for them to add his motion with his co-defendants, which they would have normally did if he wouldn't have escaped. But being that he escaped, they turned around and they pulled his motion off the appellate table and they heard his co-defendants. They granted their motion. They all got sentenced to time served. They all went home. Dickie got arrested 18 months later. So Dickie comes in and said, look, my co-defendants won for prosecution misconduct. So therefore, I was a part of that trial, so I should be granted that. So what the government said, so y'all understand, right? We got to give some gunshots to this. Got to give some gunshots to that. What the government said was, no, you ran, so you forfeited your right to an appeal. It took Dickie approximately 3 decades to try and get back in to get the granting of the motion that they gave his co-defendants for the prosecution misconduct. And to my knowledge, Dickie never even got it. Dickie wound up getting out of jail on a compassionate release. So if Dickie would not have escaped from prison, he would have been out of prison 30 years ago. Instead, he had to do 30 more years. And I ran into Dickie. This was in like 96, I met Dickie. And I ran into Dickie in 2012. I ran into Dickie. And when I ran into him, he's still in jail. I'm like, dog, how you still in? Your co-defendants went home for the prosecution misconduct. He said, man, they still not letting me in. He said, I went to the Supreme Court. I went everywhere trying to get granted, but they holding me accountable for that escape, saying that they don't get nothing. So let me go, all right? Meaning he don't get no granting of what they got, all right?
Part here. And so what the plaintiff in this case did was filed for what we call a temporary restraining order, which would have prevented Diddy, or would prevent him from selling that Los Angeles home.
Now, let me explain that temporary restraining order that he put in. A temporary restraining order is like how you have, I didn't hit the ride. I didn't hit the ride. You know how you got temporary restraining order. You know how they put a restraining order on you because you one of those but I love a dog cats, and you want to beat up the female, you want to stalk the female, so you can't go nowhere near her. You know what I mean? Whatever she got for you, she get to keep. So that's the same type of thing with this. Pay attention. Might sound a little different, but it's really the same. I just like to make these analogies so y'all understand what's going on. So the temporary restraining order in Diddy's situation is he put a temporary, the plaintiff put a temporary restraining order on Diddy saying that he temporarily can't sell the property, can't sell any property, and can't move any money, you know what I mean? That, equate to what he's trying to get. That way he don't try and sell the property and then say, I don't have any money to pay you. Because right now they could just seize the house and give the man the house, whether he wanted it or not, just to make sure he gets that judgment. So the man, the plaintiff put in a temporary restraining order so Diddy couldn't sell the property and other properties that he had in whatever he had vested interest in Michigan. He couldn't deal with none of that. All that had to stay put until after this is over. Now that this is over, being that the judge put the temporary restraining order on Diddy, that means that that money is still there. So on October 1st, Diddy will have to ka-ching a check over to a man doing life in prison that accused him of sex A. What is going on in America? Do y'all think that's right? Put it in the comments. Do you think that it's right that a man in jail serving a life sentence could sue a man and get awarded $100 million for allegation of SA? Talk to me. Did he messed up because he didn't respond? We know that much, but put it in the comments.
And so we know, or at least we believe, that that TRO was granted to enjoin or stop him from selling that home. And so ultimately, if that were the case, then there's going to be an issue with the actual sale of the home. Those proceeds from the home essentially would be a part of the proceeds that need to be paid for the plaintiff in this case. But that's really what the issue is here, is, whether or not he can actually go forward and sell the home if he's been enjoined. And the reason for the temporary restraining order in this case is to prevent him from selling off assets that would compensate the plaintiff.
There you go.
And many of us know that Diddy faces several other lawsuits stemming from similar allegations, just like Cardello Smith's allegations, drugging at a party and sexual assault or rape. Well, at this time, no criminal charges have been filed against Diddy, and he has not been arrested. What does that signal to you as far as a pattern goes?
Well, one of the things that's going to happen, and I do believe that there has been a grand jury investigation that has been employed in this case. I think there may be a federal investigation going on, and there may be a stateside one, but I'm not totally sure. But one of the things that the prosecution in any case is going to try to do is show that there is a pattern of behavior here. Now, as a defense attorney, we don't want that information coming in, and we don't want that to be the theory of the prosecutor's case, that just because he may have done it on one occasion means that he had done it on a second occasion. And so those are the things that we argue against, but certainly the prosecution is going to want to show that there is a pattern of behavior here. And with respect to a RICO prosecution, what the government is essentially going to be trying to do is take individuals who have been allegedly impacted by Mr. Combs' behavior and those patterns of that behavior, putting them into grand jury to bring about an indictment.
And Diddy has denied any type of wrongdoing in terms of the many civil suits he faces for sexual misconduct. But we all saw the Cassie Hotel surveillance video and the subsequent apology video that followed. Do you think, even though Cardello Smith, who doesn't have the cleanest record in the slightest, that his claims might hold weight against Diddy?
That is certainly a possibility. I think that Mr. Cardello, his credibility is certainly going to be vetted. We know that he is very litigious. We know that he himself is incarcerated for sexual related offenses. And so is this just a matter of him actually being a victim of this crime, or is this something that he has respectfully concocted, because it seems to be that, anybody can make an allegation against Mr. Combs and it's taken as factual by the public. So that's going to be the thing here that we're going to need to be careful of and pay attention to.
You see what I'm saying? So what they saying, right? So y'all understand, right? This man that just won this $100 million default judgment in the SA lawsuit against Diddy is locked up for S-related charges as well. Could he have been his co-defendant? Could he have been a willing participant? Do you think he was a willing participant? Do you think he's a co-defendant? Or do you think he's full of crap? Put it in the comments. Or you think he's telling the truth? Let's talk about it. All right.
And it's been pretty quiet as far as any word about the details of the reported federal investigation or any potential indictment. But do you think it's possible Diddy won't be charged criminally, or do you think that an indictment still looms for him?
An indictment absolutely still looms for Mr. Combs. I think that there has been such a large response to the allegations in Ms. Ventura's case, and now in all of these other subsequent cases, that you can't unsee it. So once it's out there, it's there. It is the government's responsibility to investigate these claims or these alleged claims. And I think that there has been so much attention that's been placed on this that to let this go quietly in the night it would be nearly impossible for the government to allow that to happen unless they are statutorily bound or there is some other some other reason that they can't go or proceed forward.
In terms of the alleged victims in this case, what do you think this message sends to them as far as, Diddy hasn't been charged criminally, he hasn't been indicted, but given all the allegations, the mounting lawsuits, but Diddy seems to be doing just fine in terms of, previously we've seen him whitewater rafting, previously he's riding his bike out in South Beach, Miami. I've read reports that he's been visiting up Harlem here in New York City. What are your thoughts about Diddy's demeanor, given all the lawsuits he's faced? He's fallen from grace, definitely. But what do you think that message sends to the alleged victims in this case, as far as them wanting to seek justice against their alleged perpetrator?
Hold on, let's stop there. It's not about them wanting to seek justice. It's about them wanting the bag. End of story. It's about them wanting the bag. Do you think it's about them wanting the bag, or do you think it's about them wanting justice? If they told them, right, let me put it this way, right? Let's ask all of these victims, look, forget about the lawsuit. We're going to lock Diddy up for life. We're going to give Diddy his justice and lock him up for life, and you don't get a dime. Or we could give Diddy, you could give you the money you seeking, and we don't lock Diddy up at all. What would you want? Would you want Diddy, all of y'all watching, I'm gonna put it to y'all too. If y'all was in that situation, if they gave y'all right now $10 million a piece, if they gave each one of y'all $10 million, right? And they asking for hundreds of millions, I'm just using 10. If they gave y'all $10 million and let Diddy stay out and don't get indicted, or would you say keep the 10 million, lock him up because he's such a monster? All of y'all that says, oh, he's a monster, he deserved to be locked up. If they said we'll give you 10 million, because this is like for the people being, doing the suit, right? The people doing the suit, they said, look, we'll either lock him up for life or we'll give you the money that you're asking for. But now y'all watching, we'll give you $10 million if y'all, if y'all would allow Diddy to stay free, or we lock him up and we don't give you a dime. Now y'all figure it out if it's for the bag or not. Put that in the comment. This is a good question to wrestle over. Let's go. It's almost over.
It can certainly be frustrating for alleged victims in this case because they want some sort of justice, they want some sort of resolve. And we also know that there isn't one allegation by one individual, but there are multiple allegations by multiple individuals. And so eventually, the plaintiffs, they're going to want to see some level of justice and retribution in this case.
They keep talking about this justice. Only thing she said right is retribution. They want the bag. We'll give you the retribution, which is the bag you want, and we don't prosecute Diddy. Would you take the retribution? This is to the victims. Or would you take Diddy going to jail for life? For those of y'all watching, you put in a comment. Be honest, let's keep this going, keep it 100. This is not no defending Diddy. This is just me doing my journalism work to put you in a frame of mind so you could understand what is going on in the real world. All right.
And to see Mr. Combs going about his daily business, as business as usual, can be certainly frustrating for alleged victims. However, one of the things I always tell people is the criminal justice system is the slowest moving system probably known to man at this point. And so while that may be the case now that he is out of custody, there haven't been charges filed or anything of that nature, that does not mean that, there won't be some sort of justice in the long run. Doesn't mean that he won't be found guilty or responsible for something later down the line. It just honestly takes time.
All right, Safa, again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
All right, so that's where we at. Now, like I said, let's ride with this. They got old Diddy locked up. Let's ride. They got Diddy's bank account locked up right now. He got to pay $100 million judgment, right, to a dude named Cordello that's locked up doing life in Michigan State for S-related cases as well. And Diddy got to give him $10 million a month for the next 10 months, starting October 1st. So I will be back here on October 1st so we can see what the next step in this saga is. I want to thank you for tuning in. Cop the book, A Roar in Harlem. It's not that hard. Cop the book Aurora in Harlem at aurorainharlem.com. The merchandise is at the bottom of the page. We end this. We're going to take it to the end. If you subscribed, hit the notification bell. If you not subscribed, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And the Cash App is on the screen, $ Unique Mecca Hall. Make sure that you hit the icon and it says it was created in 2020. That's the only one that's mine is the Cash App Unique Mecca Hall that was created in 2020. Let's get this thing moving. Let's get it popping. And we out of here.
Cheers, cheers, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime. Can of 26, back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions is a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in hall. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you can go and visit. Then you can consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get juice from a kingpin. I went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. Did not pay attention, was stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block. Did his time, never swilling to the cops make an audio. G's in the 90s. Drop top being so shiny. I let shorty go, she was wine. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the dapper game. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, this a roaring uptown. Roaring uptown, the minute can bust down. Now we on the positive, you ain't got a lot to give. Now you trying to stop the kids from being an operative. So take heed, homie, let it in. He started in uptown, he gon' finish there. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars, it's about buying property to make the community yard. So we